Good evening, everyone. And I'm Srinath. And for our next speaker is going to be Professor Huzur Saran from IIT Delhi. He's a very distinguished person in the area of computer science and wireless networks. And he has been a previous, speaker, and he's always welcome to our sessions with his extensive knowledge. Today, he's going to speak on device-to-device and edge computing. His topic will focus on areas which are going to be mainly on the IoT and 5G space. So a brief introduction about Professor Saran. He's been a PhD in computer science. He's been I would say a visiting professor at Stanford. He's focused on wireless networks, computer systems, security, and algorithms. He's been the head of computer science department and the Amarnath and Shashi Khosla School of IT at IIT Delhi from 2007 to 2014. From 2015 to 2018, he's been currently heading the Center of Excellence in Cybersecurity at IIT Delhi. So we have a person with very rich experience, and he's leading the efforts for 5G testbed funded by the Department of Telecommunications from 2000 to 2002. And he's been visited at Information Systems Lab at Stanford and worked the media access control layer in the early 4G wireless systems. So definitely this is going to be a very interesting session. And I'd like to hand over to Professor Saran for his session.
Thanks, Srinath, for a kind introduction. Just to let me share my screen.
Yeah.
Here it is. Okay.
Yeah.
Hope you can see the slides.
Yes, sir, we can see your slides.
So today I'm going to be talking about, as Srinath mentioned, I'm currently heading at IIT Delhi, the 5G testbed project. And of course, 5G has many, many things in it, and not all of them are relevant to INOG. But I felt that the notion of edge computing and IoT is something that is useful for for operators also, ISPs also, as well as for telecom people. And it's an interesting area. As you know that traditionally when we talk about IoT applications, there's a lot of sensing happening, then the data gets collected, it eventually goes to the cloud normally, and then gets processed there. And then you get actionable results out of that. That's the general framework. But as you will see, I'll go to the next slide. So we know that IoT, we've been talking about IoT for yes, more than almost 10 years now. So it's not that IoT is new. There are also implementations to some extent, but it has not really scaled to the level of the hype if you think about it historically, because the really cheap sensors and ubiquitous wireless communication has only slowly. See, if you want to do a citywide sensing infrastructure for whatever it is, whether it's public transportation, or any other this thing, you need a very high capacity network with lots and lots of devices and lots of cheap sensors. So what is the kind of architecture we are looking at is broadly any application like that, whether it is detecting people jumping traffic lights all over the city, or optimizing traffic, or talking about people's health. For example, there is the recent pandemic. You want to track all sorts of people who are likely to have the pandemic. So all sorts of scenarios are there where you are wanting to put a lot of sensing all over the place to collect data, analyze it, and then in the end, do something with it, right? That's either just generate statistics and reports with it or actually do actionable this thing. When you want to do actionable stuff, you typically want to do it fast. So that's where one picture that emerges, if you place millions of sensors all over a city and then collect all that data, ship it to a cloud, and then expect the cloud to do the computation and then turn around and generate actionable intelligence, actionable things that need to be done, and the whole loop has to be closed within a second or 2 seconds for it to be worth anything, then the amount of traffic that needs to go through the network, the latency, end-to-end latency in doing such a computation often becomes a bottleneck. So instead of a simplified three-tier architecture, like this is a picture which is trying to sense this thing, you have a bunch of actuators and sensors. Wirelessly, that data is being collected and eventually shipped to a cloud. And the cloud then is accessed through many different devices, and people either based on manual interaction or by defining automated rules want action to be done based on that. This is the traditional IoT cloud framework. But this will work well if you're doing only data collection, perhaps. Or if you, whatever actionable data you are trying to do, the round trip time for that is hours or days, then this kind of thing works all right. But what people are feeling is now you want to go to something beyond this. You want to be able to react fast. And the data you're collecting is not just small items of data like temperature and pressure and some small data items where the amount of data is small, but you are actually collecting video feeds, audio feeds. In some applications, they also collect radar feeds, or they collect your heartbeat information if you're doing a health application, right? Or a continuous monitoring of temperatures. So here the stream of data is an analog stream of continuous data. And in such a scenario, you want the processing for that data not to be that all the data gets shipped to the cloud on the other end in a large data center somewhere. And then there is the processing and then action happens. See, that model doesn't scale if you're talking about millions or billions of devices, right? It both adds load to the network and it doesn't give you the latency round trip requirements you're looking at. And that is where edge computing has become a big buzzword. I think last 3-4 years, a lot of interest has happened in edge computing. And the motivation here is if you want whatever signals are being collected, analog streams are being collected, if you want them processed, the IoT device itself is resource limited, and yet to do the processing, and especially people want to do fancy AI processing, deep neural network learning kind of algorithms, that needs a lot of compute resources. And even if you could put the compute resources on the IoT device, the consequence would be that you would be probably eating up into the battery of the IoT device. So it is not an optimal use of the IoT sensor to do that kind of computation there. So you want to offload it, but you don't want to offload it all the way to the cloud because of the already mentioned concerns. And of course, the kind of scenarios are machine learning, deep learning, video encoding. If you're going to do any kind of vehicular application, we're collecting a lot of road traffic data. So in all of these cases, what you want to do is locate a compute entity very close to the edge device. That is why the word mobile edge computing. And of course, this has been taken on more of a role in 5G cellular, where there is actually an effort to standardize mobile edge computing. So the idea is right after the radio access network at the service provider point of presence, you put some edge compute nodes, some compute nodes, which will be used to offload applications, or part of the processing of applications will be done on that. So it will not be used just for, as the previous speaker talked about, a lot of the SDN kind of things. And in the telecom world, SDN is being used in the context of network function virtualization. So for example, most 5G POPs will be basically a cloud offering where all the network functions are virtualized on that cloud, right? So adding capacity for application level cloud computation on that same or similar infrastructure in the same POP is pretty straightforward. So this is motivating this whole picture. And so what we're looking at is a 4-stage IoT solution architecture rather than just a 3-stage architecture, right? So here we are saying, again, there are sensors actuators as the first layer, internet gateways which consolidate that. Then there is the edge IT analytics, where most of the large streams of data get processed on only summarized data based on machine learning or whatever appropriate processing for a particular application is there is done, and then that can be either sent back to the cloud. The cloud can be pushing back policies which are then used to automate certain actions, and certain information may get escalated to the cloud. So this is the pattern that is emerging, and this is where this layer, this new layer called the edge layer or the mobile edge computing layer, takes on importance. Now, just to differentiate, so what's the pros and cons of cloud versus mobile edge cloud? So again, with cloud, what the advantage is, you have these very large, high capacity, cost effective data centers. Whereas here you will have to have really small capacity data centers distributed all across. So that has a certain overhead. You have to provide reliable power and many other things at so many different small data centers and manage them. That is an overhead, but as I said, in the context of 5G, in any case, for NFV itself, the operator has to do the similar thing. So he can use that to scale up, and maybe it is not so much of an overhead. The advantage of this is that the proximity of compute resources becomes, the latencies become in the few milliseconds or less range now, rather than tens or hundreds of milliseconds of range that you would have got with a remote data center. Also, since you are not flooding the backbone with all this traffic, you are helping the service provider save on his backbone resources. Data centers are highly scalable. There's a challenge with how many POPs you can have, but then that's a choice of what level of concentration you do before you put an edge computing resource. You can put it at one level of the tree or of the access network, where in the access network you put it, and an operator can choose to optimize that a little bit. One major concern becomes of security. See, normally when you're running an application, the cloud is of the application, dedicated cloud instance or in a multi-tenancy setting, one instance is there only for that application. And that is definitely the application provider's control. Here, now you have small containers in which your stuff is running all over the service provider network at all of these edge computing points. And so security can be an issue. Also, flip side is if an application misbehaves and that brings down the service provider's network or service provider's edge computing infrastructure, it can hurt also. So it's security, both saving the application, ensuring the application has integrity and privacy and other features that it needs of its data, and ensuring that the application misbehavior or hacking doesn't lead to an escalation into the service provider network. So the security has to be much more solid if you're going to do edge computing. Let me see what happened to this thing. Yeah. Now, some interesting challenges I wanted to just highlight. See, when you say I'm going to do edge computing, so there's another part to this picture here. See, we said, one point we made is that if you want to offload some computation, suppose you are taking a video and now you want to find out the face of the person, object recognition, right? Face recognition. Now this can be done at the edge device also, but there's a cost, there's a battery cost to it. As long as the edge device doesn't have to do it all the time, that may still be acceptable. But if it wants to offload and do that computation at the edge, this thing, what is the state of the network connectivity? If the network, as you know, network connectivity is not always stable. With wireless networks, there's fading, there's other behaviors, where temporarily your connection may be poorer than normal. And now if you are trying to offload and your connection is poor, then you are not going to be able to transfer the data, get the result, and do a computation in your whatever your time deadline is. So you need to be able to be aware what your network connection is right now. If it is a good network connection, you want to offload. If there is not a good connection right now, you are better off doing the compute here itself, even with reduced quality if necessary, rather than just skipping, which is going to be the consequence if you try to offload when the network is not there. Second aspect is you want this round trip to be fast. Now, normally, if you are going to, the node is going to talk to the edge device using TCP/IP in the normal way of working. What's going to happen is TCP is going to do its own three-way handshake. Before that, any other wireless level 5G stuff will also have to happen. And then your actual request response for whatever kind of, most people, for example, use REST protocols to communicate between client server. So you could have the HTTP REST query and response kind of things, or whatever else application. But what that may mean is you may have 5 or 6 round trips just to communicate your parameters, and then another few round trips to get the result. Now that's too much. You want to optimize it. You know, of course, even in the internet server, there's all this effort. There's newer protocols which try to cut down the round trip time for many of the HTTP responses. You know, I'm sure people are familiar with that. So here also you want, and here the point is you are working only in the edge network. It is not a WAN, really a WAN setting. So TCP/IP flow control is overkill. You want to do something lighter weight in this scenario. So there's opportunity to look at lighter weight, low latency transport protocols for this kind of scenario. And once you know what the state is, that's when a decision has to be made for each transaction, whether it needs to be offloaded or not. And I already mentioned about security aspect. Since IoT devices are involved, anyway, IoT security is a big issue. Then edge nodes also, now you have to worry about their security. You want the edge nodes to be tamper resistant. Somebody can't break into your POP and start access your edge nodes to break into an application, for instance. So you need tamper resistance, tamper detection, intrusion detection kind of things. You want secure boot to prevent somebody from trying to install. See, the point is when you're going to have millions of edge computing locations all over the place, then physical security may be a concern. See, normally in a data center, we assume physical security is perfect. We don't worry about it so much because there is all these layers of formal security to enter a data center. But in this scenario, these also become issues. Of course, as I mentioned already, you will be using cloud, so there will be virtualization, there will be the containerization, there will be whatever other standard technologies you use. In fact, the Linux Foundation has a couple of projects on edge computing. They have something called Akraino Edge. You can look it up there. And there's a lot of effort to build a stack more focused to edge computing to be used for edge cloud applications.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, go ahead.
I just would like to inform you that we just have 3 minutes left.
Okay, no problem. I'm almost towards the end. Now, of course, so broadly speaking, when you're trying to do edge computing, well, I'll skip this details. I'll just come straight. So the point is, now question is, suppose you have edge computing. Can you take existing apps and break them up? This is one kind of question, right? Or you have to design the app from beginning to be able to support edge computing. And there is some work we have done on it. We'll keep offline. You can look at it on my homepage, and me and Professor Smruti Sarangi. Let me skip all this stuff here. I think. So as I said, QoS you need to probe. Low latency transport I already talked about, so I don't need the slide. We had done some small effort in that direction. We developed a certain version of TCP for latency, which showed that you got 35% improvement in latency in that particular scenario, in this kind of scenarios, where you have a small number of hops and it's a wireless, low end-to-end round trip is not very large. I will stop here to allow more questions. Again, we have more experimental work, but those are available on our webpage. We can talk about it
Sir, we have a few questions. I think. Thank you so
I
much for
can
your.
read them off if you want, or you would like to read it off.
Yeah, you can take them on directly, sir.
Okay, so as
Thank
I
you very
look at
much.
it,
Yeah.
Gulshan Garg has asked, edge computing seems to be like traditional data center. Is it back to Pavilion Senior from cloud to local? Well, if you look at traditional data center, there was no virtualization. So first of all, it's not like that. Second is, it is not an organization's data center, it is the service provider's data center, right? So multi-tenancy is still there. All you're taking is a large cloud and making it into millions of small clouds. Let's put it that way. It's still a cloud. There is all the multi-tenancy issues, all of the networking issues there. It is, one may also say, of course, from the 5G community's viewpoint, it is a way for the telecom operators to get in on more of the action, right? That's on a lighter vein, and of course there is a commercial consideration there. But so it is not. The question was, is it really back to local data centers? It is not. It is a slightly different concept. Second question is from Brian Sequeira on, do we have any governing policy over IoT device usage publicly? So there are privacy policies everywhere. I don't think there is specifically anything for IoT device usage publicly. As you know, often, for example, depending on the scenario, if you're talking about traffic cameras, that's within the purview of the city administration. And public spaces, city doesn't need anybody's permission to deploy any kind of sensing applications. For example, a colleague of mine has been who visited us, has been working with New York City on, you see, camera application, of course, lots of people have seen. But they were deploying on every major crossing or street pole or wherever, sound sensors. They were monitoring the sound continuously to detect certain things like gunshots, for example. You want to detect gunshot and immediately be able to react to that. And also, if there's a gunshot, you want to be able to have a recording of it, because sometimes what happens is gunshot happens when you turn up, police turns up, no witnesses there willing to testify. This is in New York City. There was an experiment that some of my colleagues who visited us from Ohio were doing. So point is, as far as policy is concerned, if it's a public space, the public authority who's in charge of that space is the one regulating it right now. There is no generic policy, right? Last question I had is, in India, what are the areas IoT is present currently? Also explain the IoT role in smart cities. Any case study for IoT in India? Now, of course, this is getting a very vast question. I would just say that in India, of course, smart cities is an obvious application. In fact, when you want to do smart city, you want to do it for sensing, for traffic, for health, for air quality, pollution, so many things. These all fall under the IoT umbrella. So smart city is an application for this. Is there any wide application actually using it today? No. There are minuscule efforts. Even in IIT Delhi, we have effort to do a smart campus. That is an effort in its initial stages as of now. So deploying at a city-wide scale for a larger metro like Delhi or Bombay is still many years away.
Any other questions? I think in the interest of time, I'd like to close this session. I thank you very much, Professor Saran,
thank you
for this very interesting session and the evolution of 5G edge computing. It's been a very useful session. We look forward to more sessions from you all in the future. And thank you so much for your contribution to INOG.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, sir.